Hey, greetings good people, and welcome to yet another episode of MOSHBITS. Now, this time around, YouTube has actually implemented a really cool feature which makes it so that whenever you click on that subscribe button right under this video, I don't know if it's actually here or here, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you click that subscribe button and get subscribed to my channel, believe it or not, my face just disappears. So, if you don't want to see my face, then what the hell are you waiting for? Just hit that subscribe button. Hey, look at you, you did it, you subscribed to my channel, congrats, and thank you at the same time, I guess. Now, there's plenty of things to talk about in today's episode, and no wonder because we're in the month of Techtober, so how about we just start? First off, NVIDIA hosted its GTC event where it flexed its muscles yet again to show us how good they are at everything whenever it comes to AI, deep learning, and machine learning. Of course, you can also insert some other buzzwords in here too, but with that being said, NVIDIA is working on building the most powerful supercomputer which will help researchers in the UK solve some of the world's biggest issues. And yes, the current human malware is on that list as well. Cambridge 1, as it's named, should come live by the end of the year, and this is the most energy efficient supercomputers, well, at least one of the most efficient, but I'm still more curious if it can do one thing and one thing only. Can it run Crysis? In other NVIDIA news, if you are not looking to get yourself an NVIDIA RTX 30 series GPU, presumably because you're not here for the games, then you might be excited to find out that NVIDIA will also be launching a RTX A6000 and the A40 vGPU, both of which being capable of doing some serious work for those who actually need it. For starters, the RTX A6000 has a whopping 48GB of DDR6 memory on a 384-bit memory interface, and of course ECC. And I'm of course talking about error correcting code memory, which is essential in data center environments. Now, the A40 is also a passively cool card, and to me, it looks like a total chunker, comparable in size only to its RTX 3090 brethren, but that's also because of the power it needs to stay cool and run smoothly. Good thing it launches in December, when we expect several rooms to run even cooler. Now, I'm obviously kidding about the last part because they most probably run at the same temperature all year round. What I'm not kidding about is being mad about the NVIDIA RTX 30 series GPU shortages, especially now that Jensen Leatherjacket Huang has just declared that the RTX 30 series cards will hit a double whammy. I mean, I appreciate the humor, Jensen, but this also means that due to the holiday season coming up and Ampere GPUs being highly sought after, the shortage of these shiny new GPUs will continue onto 2021. And that makes me really anxious about being able to get my hands on one of those RTX 30 series graphics cards in October, and I'm obviously talking about the RTX 3070. But who needs GPUs? Because we've apparently got DPUs right now. At GTC, we also had a look at NVIDIA's new type of processor, that being the Data Processing Unit, DPU for short obviously. And the way NVIDIA described the DPU in layman's terms is that it moves data around the data center and does data processing really fast, whereas the CPU is for more general purpose computing and the GPU for accelerating computing. Now, the BlueField 2 DPU, as they're calling it, should optimize networking processes and pretty much everything storage and security related from CPUs, bringing a new level of security features to prevent those pesky hackers from breaching into your systems or launching cyber attacks. Of course, if you're one of those people that actually needs something like this. Now, there's a lot to talk about the BlueField 2 DPU, many of which I'm not qualified to talk about, so I made sure to link all of those things in the video description. Okay, but let's talk about something I'm genuinely excited about. During the same event, NVIDIA also showed us a bunch of impressive applications for their RTX GPUs, those being AI compression, face alignment, conversational AI avatar, translation, denoise, virtual background, super resolution, and last but not least, auto frame. Now, you probably were able to tell what those things would be good for, but let me give you a short explanation for all of them. AI compression will make it possible to keep your video calls use far less data. Instead of streaming the normal way, through the magic of AI, only points of your face will actually be analyzed and keyframed to recreate your face on the receiving end, thus making it possible to use a lot less data whilst losing virtually no image quality. In fact, it can make it look even crispier than before. Face alignment is what I'd personally need for my next job interview or whenever I'm recording those videos with the cam turned on for you guys, because this essentially allows you to look at another screen and recreate your face as if you are looking straight at a camera. Imagine a better version of the damn it Dane meme at this point. Now, this is kind of what it does. And you might also be able to see it on the screen if I'm going to put images of it. Now, conversational AI avatar is also pretty simple. Just imagine Apple's Memoji, but on steroids. Translations, again, very simple, and just for the sake of comparison, that's Google Translate on steroids. Denoise is what essentially used to be RTX Voice, which is already a powerful tool on the RTX 20 and RTX 30 series GPUs, and also some supported GTX cards. And if you haven't seen any videos done with RTX Voice, then I'll make sure to drop some of those in the description down below to have your mind blown. Also, Adam from EposVox did a really great video on how this might be an incredible tool in the future if tools such as Premiere or DaVinci Resolve actually pick up on it and allow RTX Voice to work as a VST filter. Virtual background? Well, imagine a full-on exceptional green screen. Super resolution? Imagine how my videos would look in 4K, but I guess don't think about it because I'm not planning on getting a 4K camera anytime soon. But this is what super resolution will be able to do. Upscale video quality. And last but not least, auto frame, which again is pretty easy to grasp. It tracks your face as you move and essentially pans the camera to keep you in frame. All those tools might not all be new. In fact, you can find most of them, if not all of them, within other apps and programs, but this doesn't make it any less impressive since they're all going to work on their own and should also enable integration with so many other programs. I'm genuinely excited for all of those things to happen, and I'm also hoping to get my hands on an RTX 3070 to test them all out for you guys. But enough talking about NVIDIA, let's talk about AMD, because fellow YouTuber Cortex has published a video talking about Big Navi's gargantuan die size and also showed us a modified version of it, obviously to protect his sources. Now, this should be the chip to power the upcoming RX 6000 series flagship GPUs from AMD, sporting a whopping 536mm squared die size, and I won't get into the nitty-gritty details of what that means because Cortex has done a wonderful job telling you guys about it, so I guess you could watch his videos if you're interested. With that being said, don't forget that AMD is also going to unveil its upcoming Ryzen 5000 CPUs 2 days from now, because AMD has just confirmed that the event will take place at 6 PM Central European summertime. And since we've talked about NVIDIA and AMD, let's also talk about Intel, because we got them on the list too. But you know what? I've only got them here to bully them even more because the company is allegedly delaying its 10nm Ice Lake SP server processors yet again. This wouldn't be the first time Intel delays its 10nm chips, as the company has notoriously faced issues with getting its 10nm chips onto the market, whereas AMD is slashing nanometers on all sides. At the moment, we don't know if we're actually gonna get to see those new Intel server CPUs come out in Q1 of 2021, but I sure hope so, because we need some serious competition. The sooner, the better, I guess. And I guess now it's also time to go into the nibbles sooner than later, because otherwise this video is gonna be 30 minutes long and I hear you guys don't really like that. But before we go on, do you want to hear a joke? I'll assume that you do, so let's talk about Bing getting rebranded as Microsoft Bing. Now, I personally think that this is the final nail in Google's coffin and the moment we're all waiting for. And yes, that was the joke. It was bad, I know, but so is Microsoft Bing. But let's talk about other things related to rebranding, because Microsoft is not the only company doing it. Google just decided to commit to yet another rebranding of its apps and services as it introduced Google Workspace, which is essentially Gmail, Docs, Meet, Sheets, and Calendars all in one. I don't really know how that sounded, but in true Google 2020 fashion, the color palette and style of the icons makes everything ever so confusing, and I've already seen people complaining about it, so sound off in the comments if you actually like what Google is doing with this rebrand. In other news, Spotify is introducing lyric search, which might just be the thing you needed to do to find that song that's been stuck on your mind for days on end. If you are far too lazy to search for the lyrics on Google or Genius and then go back to Spotify to listen to that song, then you might be excited to find out that Spotify is finally adding lyric search to its app. And if you've got the update already, can you also please help me with something? Like, I've had those lyrics for a while on my mind right now. I think there was something like, "Never gonna give you up." So if you can find the song, can you please just post it in the comments down below? That'd be awesome. Now, let's talk about German keyboard switch manufacturer Cherry getting acquired by the US company Argon Partners. If you're surprised to hear why they decided to buy Cherry, then you might also want to know that Cherry is also one of the world's leading providers for secure telematics infrastructure for the German healthcare market. So you can see why the buyers decided to add them to their investment strategy. Now I'm more curious what this will actually mean for their keyboard switches and more specifically the prices and availability. Now something that's a bit more exciting than the buyout is that SK Hynix has just launched the first kit of DDR5 DRAM. This has been in the works for quite some time now, and we were expecting to see SK Hynix release it earlier this year, but I think you can assume at this point why it took them a wee bit longer. Now, the DDR5 module supports speeds of anywhere between 4800 and 5600 megabits per second, which is also double what the DDR4 could actually do. The voltage at which it operates has also been lowered to 1.1 volts, which also makes them more efficient, and the icing on the cake is that it also supports ECC inside the chip, making them even more reliable at this point. I would also assume that the next generation Ryzen processors, not those that are getting released this year or announced this year at least, but rather those from 2021 or 2022 will actually already support DDR5, and that's some really exciting news, you guys. But before we make the switch to DDR5, I think we're stuck with DDR4, but hey, don't you worry, because now we've got RAM for gamers. Which, you know, means that it will largely perform the same, but you can also make it hit frequencies of 4133 MHz, and now that's some real gamer speed. And speaking of real speed, how about I tell you about Hot Pursuit being remastered? If you somehow haven't watched my episode yesterday, shame on you by the way, you should know that Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is officially getting a remastered version, which should make it available on November 6th on PC, Xbox and PlayStation, and November 13th on the Switch. Which generally sounds like a perfect addition to the platform. But you know what else sounds perfect to me? Cyberpunk 2077 going gold. And if you're unaware of that phrasing, this means that the game is ready to be released to the market and its distributors who are going to get it into your mailboxes while the company is still in the works for the day one patch. I've talked about Cyberpunk 2077 in yesterday's video, which if you haven't watched, then you should, because I've got even more Cyberpunk 2077 news and information out there. And something I've talked about in almost all of my episodes is Call of Duty, believe it or not, but mainly because they've got a bunch of announcements going on at this point. This time around, the company has posted a trailer for its upcoming Black Ops Cold War beta, which coincidentally kicks off this week. And with regards to Call of Duty Mobile, the game has made roughly $500 million in just 1 year. And this might just all sound bonkers until you remember that you've written your thesis on microtransactions, and this should come as no surprise since this is the best way to make money as a game developer, especially if your game runs on mobile. And this just brings us to the end of this episode. Now do make sure to check me out on Twitter and also go to our CRROWD Discord server where we review gadgets and talk about tech all day long. Trust me, it's awesome. Links to the articles mentioned in this video will also be in the video description, so if you're interested, do make sure to check them out. This has been Alex with the Red Elk. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.